Oh boy, howdy! Welcome back! It's time! I'm not nervous. No. Okay. Oof. How to plot your book. Step 1. Vibes. Brain dump. Let it all out. Think about every little possible detail of something you want in your book, whether it's tropes, whether it's silly little scenes, whatever it is, write it down. Brain dump. Brain dump. Oh my goodness. Brain dump. Now, compile goals and motivations for your main characters and figure out how you can get them to reach their goals while also taking the things that they care about away. Great. Why are they important? Focus on that. If you have multiple characters and they've got conflicting motivations, figure out what those conflicts are. Just kind of think a little bit further about what kind of events could happen that could cause those issues. My favorite thing to ask myself is, what could go wrong? And then writing that. Figuring out exactly what that is and basically ruining my characters' lives at all costs. Whatever I can do to make things go bad, I'm gonna make them go bad. I love my characters so much. I want them to be happy, but oof, gotta have conflict. Think about how you want to challenge your main characters. Think about how you want to explore the world that you've built and created and have got going on. Show their day-to-day life. Show how things could very quickly spiral out of control. I'm gonna be entirely honest with you. When it comes to ending a story, I haven't figured that part out yet. I also don't really know. I'm very much a Wattpad reader at heart, where a story could just go forever and I'll probably be okay. You should be thinking along the way of how your character is going to develop. What issues do they have? What kind of flaws do they have? What should they be personally working on along the way to be a better character than they were at the start? And what can happen along the way to get them there? Who's going to show up? What's going to happen? Is there a big bad? There doesn't always have to be a big bad. But if there is a big bad, how are they going to get there? How's it going to... Basically, your plot is going to get figured out by you trying to figure out how you want your character to develop, you know? If you are pretty set, you've got a good idea of your plot, you can try to start outlining your story. You can start going, okay, what's gonna happen in each chapter? How can I get these things to happen? Who is gonna be in the chapter? One of my favorite things to do is being okay, this is the event of chapter 1. What characters are gonna be in there? Why are they there? Having just a very clear little note of, okay, this is going on is an easy, clean way for me to set the chapter up so that I know when to introduce people, how to introduce them. A lot of it's going to happen organically as you're just writing in the practice and just that natural oh, I figured that out. It's okay if you have plot holes right now. You don't have to have everything figured out to write a book, and that's okay. Please keep that in mind. Oh my god, please keep that in mind. You don't need to know everything. It is okay. You will get yourself there eventually. And if there's plot holes, you fill them in later. Don't worry about it. This is your first draft. We're gonna go in easy. But if you have enough information, you could probably start structuring your book. This isn't something I typically do, but you could do it where you've got your introduction chapter, and then you've got your first 20% where you get to know the people, the world, so on and so forth. And then you kind of start having a little bit of conflict. You start getting to that midpoint where uh-oh, things are changing, things are going awry. Maybe a side quest, a little bit sidetracked, a lot of action, higher stakes, things are happening, and then you normally would have a twist or something, some wrench gets really thrown into the plans, and then problem solving, and then conclusion. Again, I don't really structure my books. I kind of just let them roll. And eventually I figure out okay, here's the big thing. What do I do from here? Oh no. But yeah, I'm not a pro when it comes to plotting my books, but I do find that just along the way, knowing my characters' motives and having them set out on some type of adventure, a quest, a journey, having a task at hand is most helpful. So for my story that I'm currently writing, task at hand, they gotta go find a prophecy. Why? Because that's so generic and everybody's written it at least once. And that's a good starting point. And how I can make that interesting and make it be my own. And along the way, I somehow got to, there should be a trial, a competition. I don't know how that happened, but eventually my brain just kind of got there. And there's so many balls and dances and high class events going on. I've got 2 very fleshed out, like, countries, worlds, providences. I don't know what I'm calling them yet. We're working on it. But just very slowly figuring out those. So I have introduction, gotta get a prophecy, uh-oh, trial, uh-oh, and then I don't know how I'm ending the book. Because that feels like a later thing to figure out, you know? We're not there yet. We've got so much love story to write. Again, I'm so bad at plotting my own books. I'm the worst at this. This is where I always struggle. I've got my Phantom of the Opera inspired book idea, and that doesn't really have a conflict, but there's like a mystery. So like we're working on it. My cottagecore type of story, there's a mystery, there's kind of a conflict, but I haven't fleshed it out yet. A lot of these things will start with just like getting to know my characters and like figuring it out along the way, because that's how I roll. That's the way the cookie seems to crumble. But it definitely helps having an idea of what tropes that I do and don't want to include, having a way to having a tone figured out for my story, whether I want it to be whimsical or I want it to be dark. Those kinds of things were really helpful. Character motivations and goals. I know I say it a lot. I can't stop saying it. So incredibly important for telling your story, because that's going to really help you figure out where you're going. Even if you have a plot point that you really want, but it doesn't fit your character's motivations, you somehow got to figure that out, or you've got to cut something out. And sometimes it's easier to add a character that can help you explore whatever it is you want to explore, but you're gonna figure it out. And you just kind of gotta have full faith in yourself. I'm gonna be honest, a lot of it, nobody knows what they're doing when they're writing a book. At least not their first book. It's a lot of just smashing down on a keyboard and hoping that by the end something makes a little bit of sense. I highly recommend that you have subplots. I personally don't feel like there are subplots and main plots, unless like maybe you've got like a romance subplot, but I feel like that's still like very crucial to the story, very important to your character, and your character probably wouldn't say like their romantic life is a subplot to whatever, but they understand that like they've got like a main objective that they gotta check off. I think that subplots are great ways to show your character interacting with the world and other people and showing more of that like human nature and just making it feel a little bit more lively. But have some subplots. Have like your main objective, get sidetracked. Go explore somewhere else. Go see something else or someone else. Go do other things. It is okay if your character doesn't stick to your plan. And it is likely that they will burn your plot down anyway, so like don't stress too much about it. But definitely use your first draft to just get it onto the page, write whatever, wherever it takes you. If it doesn't make sense later on when you're editing and you're rewriting, that's okay. You're gonna eventually figure out what exactly it is you want your story to be saying. And it's okay if it's not profound and super deep and complex and has like a lot going on under the surface, because not all books need that. There's plenty of people who just want to read a book to read a book and like that be it. And sometimes there's people that want like a profound, what's that one word, philosophical story, and you don't always have to fit the box for everybody. You don't have to write for anybody else, and there will always be somebody who's interested in your work. You could write someone's favorite book and you wouldn't know until you publish it. Don't throw your stuff away. Anyway, when writing your first book, don't worry about the words that you're using. If it If you've said 5 bajillion times, leave it in there. Some fun tips that I have: write in Comic Sans. Don't ask me why. It kind of works. Turn off the red squigglies, and if you really don't want, like, I have a problem of writing something, like writing a paragraph and then like going back and fixing it instead of just continuously writing. White page, white letters, no red squigglies. Just let yourself go. Is it going to be a mess later? Maybe. But it's going to get you somewhere. Just finding little ways to help make you write is the most important part. I know it's like, I feel like a poser saying all this bullshit, but it is kind of true. Like, practice writing. Writing is a skill. You have to just write. You're never gonna have a first draft if you don't just write it. You've got to start somewhere, and it's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be clean. You're gonna hate everything you write because you wrote it. You know what's gonna happen. You knew what's been happening. It's not gonna feel like shocking. It's not gonna feel like it's different from anything else because it's you. It's similar with like art. If you've ever made a drawing and you're like, wow, that looks like I drew it, that's not good. You wrote it. It's gonna feel like you wrote it. Don't let that not deteriorate. Don't let that, I know, isn't it so funny that I don't know words and yet I'm like, hee hee, I want to read a book. Don't let it stop you though. Push through. I'm so excited for NaNoWriMo. I cannot wait. Was this series helpful? Probably not. But it was kind of fun to like talk about like my really chaotic process of how the hell I've somehow managed to piece together ideas for a book that I'm writing. I don't know. It's so bizarre. It's wild. It's wacky. I don't know what to do about that information, but somehow it's kind of cool. So I'm excited for NaNoWriMo. I do have a NaNoWriMo account. I will be hopefully updating it. I don't know if I'm going to achieve my goal. I think I'm going to be working on my story 8 for NaNoWriMo just because that's the one that I'm like most excited for. It's the one that's just, I've been working on it so much. I've got so many characters. Oh my god. It's out of hand. It's completely out of hand. But I'm incredibly excited to explore that world and see more of it. So if you want to be friends on NaNoWriMo, we can, I think. I probably won't be sharing too much of like specifics, but in November I will be releasing on Saturdays like my writing vlogs where it's just like me writing for a week and any like issues that I come across, how I problem solve things, so on and so forth. I'm gonna be doing that for the first time ever. I'm very excited. I'm very nervous. Mostly excited though. But I hope you enjoyed this very short little chaotic all over the place mini series. Probably won't do it again unless I somehow master writing a book, which will never happen. So I hope you're enjoying Booktober at the very least. It's almost at an end at this point, which is crazy. So happy Halloween. Peace out, Girl Scout. Goodbye.